What's going on, guys? Again, don't know how long this is going to be. If you're interested, you can follow me on Seattle Mariners fan.mlbblogs.com. I will put the link below. Okay, I got some key topics to talk about today. I'm going to try to post this to the blog as well. Okay, so first off, since now we have our United States opener under our belt, first impressions in that game. And I say first impressions because in the when we went to Japan, when the Mariners went to Japan against the Oakland A's, we had a 28-man roster. Now we have a 25-man roster. If that is any indication on how the offense is going to be, I will take it. I don't care the heck we're playing. I don't care. I mean, heck, we could have been playing the Tigers, the Yankees, the A's, the Rangers, the Angels. I mean, we could have been playing the Pirates for all I care. 7 runs, I'll take that. With the way our offense has been the last couple of years, I will take that. That was a great game, and it was nice to finally put up, a 4 spot in 1 inning. Again, it's only 1 game. The thing that scares me a little bit is the Mariners do have a tendency to perform on their first day of the season, and then the team finally shows its weaknesses in the second, third, and fourth, and then just kind of goes from there. It's been like that for many years, so can't get ahead of myself too much, but I will take a 7-3 victory. Although, while I was watching the game, I was thinking this is probably the only team in Major League Baseball where you're up 4 to 5 runs, sometimes 6, and you still don't feel safe. But anyway, that being said, great win by the Mariners in their USA opener against Oakland. We got Felix tonight. Very smart move. At first I thought, well, Felix technically probably should have pitched yesterday on April 6th. Today is April 7th. But then I thought, well, wait a minute. Bartolo Colon owned us in Japan, so it's probably a good idea to put our top starting pitcher against him. And he will likely probably face Bartolo Colon again when the A's come to Seattle for the Mariners home opener. So good decision made by the Mariners. The fact that they swapped Vargas and Felix. And plus, since Felix is the way that he is, you can do that. You can move him around the rotation. Okay, so let's get those A's tonight. We've got a day off tomorrow, and then we bring in Texas. Very scary Texas Rangers team, who's going to throw out Yu Darvish. He's going to make his Major League debut against Seattle. That's a little nerve-wracking, but we'll focus on that when that game happens. Okay, so today we are going to talk about something that I normally do not talk about. There are a couple of conversations that just in my personal life that I try to avoid. I try to avoid talking about job searches, just because as somebody who was looking for a job for the longest time, I got tired of talking about that, so I don't want to talk about something that other people are tired of talking about. The second one is the economy and the unemployment rate, because it's still not where it needs to be. End of story. And the third, number 3, arena projects in Seattle. That's right. We're going to talk about arena projects in Seattle. Son of a gun. I just like talking about arena projects mainly because with the way our government, with the way Seattle and King County and the state government is, they take forever to get something done. Prime example is the viaduct. Now, for those of you who do not know, there is a main state highway that runs through the waterfront in downtown Seattle. And it's called the viaduct. And truckers go through there. It's a key road for transportation for people who live in South and West Seattle. And for a good 10, maybe 15 years, we've been talking about whether or not we're going to replace it, whether or not we're going to build a tunnel instead, whether or not we're going to tear the thing down or remodel it or what have you. And it got so bad to the point where I just said, dude, do whatever you can to just do something. And recently, we're finally now tearing it down and we're building a tunnel, which I don't think is necessarily the best option, but at least we finally are doing something about it. And the same thing can be said for arena projects. How many times have we heard, not just Seattle, but Tacoma, Renton, Bellevue say, oh yeah, we're interested in building an arena. We're looking into it. Yeah, so we should technically have about 3, maybe 4 arenas up and ready to go by now. And I understand it's a process. I understand it's going to take some time, but I mean, I mean, I can't tell you how many times where it's like some person or some organization has an idea for an arena, and then it just nothing gets done. The difference is, though, in this situation, though, with the arena, is that we have a person who has already bought the land and said he wants to put up the majority of the money. That is good. That is a good thing. But that's basically the reason why I don't like talking about arena projects. But since the Seattle Mariners are stepping in a little bit, let's talk about this. So basically, long story short, the idea is to put an arena in the same district. Since if you're watching this and you're not from Seattle, basically this where the stadiums are, CenturyLink and Safeco. That's in a district called the Soto district. And what they would like, what the proposal is to put an arena that can house NBA and NHL teams in that same district, a couple of blocks south of Safeco. And this project, keep fingers crossed, I would like to see it happen. Again, not really too excited about it until, one, it goes to a vote, or two, we actually break ground. But the wheels are trying to turn. The owner of the land, Christopher Hansen, is being more than willing to be patient and do everything right to get this project done. He's gotten he's working and he's on the same page as the city council and the county and what have you. And so things so far, it's a process, but things are a little bit further than normal, which is a good sign. It is. But the Mariners came out last week with a letter to the city of Seattle and to Christopher Hansen saying how they're not against building an arena. They have some major concerns about the location of where to put the arena. Now, when I first heard about this, I, like many other Seattle sports fans, was thinking, "What in the world? Why are you opposing this arena? Why are you trying to put up an obstacle in front of getting an NBA and an NBA team back here and bringing an NHL team here? Why in the world are you doing this? You're scared about losing money." And really happy that I didn't have time to blog because I was, or vlog because I was thought, what the heck? But then I listened to ESPN Seattle, and they went over the letter. And basically what the Mariners are saying is they're not opposed to building an arena in that area. What they are concerned about is if an arena is built in that area, then it's going to take away parking spaces. It's going to affect the flow of traffic in general, transportation to games and to events, and to that area is going to be hard. And all of those concerns, I think, are legitimate concerns. I know the Mariners probably are the most popular organization in that district. I'm not saying the Seahawks or Sounders are not, but when it comes down to it, the Mariners are the team that is bringing the most fans, the most fans in, or arguably the most fans in, because they have 81 home games compared to the Sounders with 15, 16, and the Seahawks with 8. And the Mariners are also not the only organization voicing their concerns. The Port of Seattle, which is right by where they're trying to put the arena, also has some concerns. Very, very key organization for Seattle, very important when it comes to importing and exporting. There's a lot of restaurants down there, a lot of hotels down there. Well, actually, not a lot of hotels, but they're starting to build more hotels and more places to stay and more tourism type of stuff down there. It's a really booming neighborhood if you think about it. And also the Seattle Public School building, the John Stanford Center, is down there. So I'm really, after hearing what the letter says on ESPN Seattle and going through the bullet points, I think that I'm hoping that this blows over. And what has happened is Christopher Hansen and the city of Seattle has received this letter, and they said, all right, the Mariners, the Port of Seattle, and all these other organizations are concerned about traffic issues. We need to conduct a study. And Christopher Hansen's response was, all right, you want to study? I'll pay for it. So I think that the letter ultimately was a good thing, because now the Mariners have come out and said, we're happy about this study. We're willing to work with Christopher Hansen and the city so that way we can get this project done. And the one thing that's very key in the letter that it states at the ending, it says, if the city and Christopher Hansen thinks that this location is the best location, then the Mariners are willing to work with scheduling, which they've done with the Sounders and the Seahawks. Sometimes there'll be double headers. The Sounders game in the afternoon, Mariners game in the evening, and vice versa. I've heard some people do double headers. I have yet to do that. I think that would be awesome, but I haven't done that just yet. I think I'm hoping the Mariners letter, instead of being looked at as, oh, well, you're just scared of, a team's going to be there and you're going to lose money and people are going to go to the NBA and NHL games for 5 years and your attendance is going to continue to drop and it's your own fault for not putting a winning product on the field. No, I'm really hoping this blows over, because at the end of the day, the big thing that came out of that is the Mariners and a bunch of other organizations, Christopher Hansen and the city of Seattle, Mayor Mike McGinn, they're all now on the same page. Okay? They're all now on the same page. And that's key. That's huge if you're going to put an arena down there. That's huge. And basically, to wrap this up, one thing that was also pointed out in the letter is when Safeco and CenturyLink was first built, it was planned to have X amount of parking spots. Well, instead of the parking spots going like this, it's starting to go like this. So that's definitely going to play a role into building the arena. So again, hoping it blows over. From what it sounds like, the Mariners will work with the NBA and NHL teams if they come and they build down there, so that way there's no scheduling conflict. So I do give props to the Mariners for getting on the same page as Christopher Hansen at the city of Seattle and a lot of these other organizations in the Soto district. Okay, so that's item number 2. Item number 1. Item number 2. Okay, the big one that we're going to talk about. The Mariners just played 2 games in Japan. And our majority owner, according to Steve Kelly of the Seattle Times, our majority owner, Hiroshi Yamaguchi, the owner of Nintendo, did not attend the games. This is extremely frustrating. Mariner fans have been asking and hoping and praying that Mr. Yamaguchi would actually take some time to travel over the Pacific Ocean and see a game. See the team. I personally believe that one of the best things that can happen to this organization is if the owner starts getting involved a little bit. Because I understand that Jack Sorenzik and Howard Lincoln and Chuck Armstrong, they have the quote-unquote the plan. Okay, the whole rebuilding, the drafting prospects and making the kids play. They have the plan. I get that. But I still think it would be good if the owner started to come to games and get involved. That being said, Mr. Yamaguchi has owned the team since 1992 when he bought the team, and he's pretty much saved it in Seattle after our 95 run. Or was one of the people that saved it and got Safeco built. He has not attended a Mariners game over here in Seattle. Now, when the news broke the Mariners were going to open up the season in Japan, I was actually my last day working with the Mariners, and everybody around there thought, "Oh, that's awesome!" Ichiro gets to go back to his home country. At the time, Hideki Matsui was on the teams on the Oakland A's, so we could have a Ichiro versus Matsui battle. This is great for the organization, great for the players. Really cool. We get to watch how the Japanese fan base reacts and da da da. That was not my reaction. My reaction was, okay, now Mr. Yamaguchi, you do not have an excuse not to go to these games. You do not have an excuse to actually get tickets and get a luxury suite, make your way down to the Tokyo Dome, and go see a game. You do not have an excuse anymore. You have 6 months. You have plenty of time to schedule your 2-day vacation to the Tokyo Dome, and you see your team play. And now it has been reported that he did not go. At this point, I am going to just throw it on the wall and say, Mr. Yamaguchi, if you come across this, sell the franchise. Sell your 55% share of the Mariners. Seriously. And I'm doing, like I said, my goal this season was not to yell, but you have shown the Seattle fan base that you flat out don't care what the on-the-field product is. You flat out don't care. I understand Nintendo is your baby. I get that. Okay? And there's no way that Seattle Mariner fans could probably boycott Nintendo because Nintendo is such a big brand. It's a very addicting brand. Not saying that's a bad thing. That's actually a good thing for Nintendo. It's got, a lot of great game systems. I mean, heck, I have a Nintendo Wii. I get that. But the fact that you've owned the team for now 20 years, you've never made the trip over to Seattle to see a game, and now your product, your team, was paying money, paying the plane tickets, paying the hotel costs, and that type of deal, coming over to Japan, and you didn't show up. You flat out don't care about the on-the-field product. And by you not attending games, you are making some controversial sports owners look really, really good. I can't stand Howard Schultz, okay? Still to this day, I'm boycotting Starbucks after what happened to the Seattle Supersonics. And I'm not the only Seattle fan that's doing that, even though, I'm not a big NBA fan, but I saw what it did to Seattle and its sports community. I'm boycotting Starbucks. But the one thing, and, I know they had this on Sonic Gate, the documentary on how the Seattle Supersonics left and what have you, about how maybe it was a bad thing that Howard Schultz did this. No, I view this as a good thing. He was at every single home game at center court watching the team play. Okay, he was there. He cared enough about the on-the-field product to the point where he was at every game. He was at every home game, every home game. Now you look at other owners, controversial owners, like, may rest in peace, Al Davis from the Oakland Raiders. I understand that, the last few years under him owning the team, the Raiders were not very good, but he was at every game. He cared about the team to be at the game. And he cared about it to the point where, he didn't make necessarily good decisions, but he wanted to win. So if he saw something wrong, he changed it. If you want to have the debate whether or not it was good or bad, that's a different story. But ultimately, he was at the game. George Steinbrenner, also may he rest in peace. He was at every Yankees home game. And sometimes he would travel with the team. And I understand, he's looked at as a great owner now since the Yankees had a dynasty and what have you. But the Yankees were terrible in the 80s. He was still at every single game. And we need that. We need somebody who cares enough to the point where they're going to be at the game and they're going to say, hey, there's this wrong, there's this wrong, there's this wrong, this is going well, this is okay. We need somebody like that. And it's obvious that Hiroshi Yamaguchi is not the answer. So, Hiroshi Yamaguchi, if you come across this, I ask you to sell the team. Put Seattle Mariner fans out of their misery. Therefore, we can stop talking about whether or not you're going to go see a game. I mean, the fact that you've owned the team for 20 years, and you're telling, 20 years times 162, maybe minus 20 or 40 games if you want to include the strike in 94 or 95. You missed a lot of games over 20 years. It's unacceptable. It really is. It's unacceptable as a sports owner. So that being said, who would be an option to buy the team? Now, obviously, the thing that's very scary is when you do make a sell, you ultimately want an owner who at first wants to keep the team in Seattle. And I do think if the Mariners are sold, just in general, they will stay in Seattle because they got a Palace and Safeco Field. They're still making money. I do know this. It's not as much as it was when they were winning, but they're still making money. They're still a profitable. They're okay on the financial level. They are. But if you're going to sell the organization, sell it to somebody who's going to keep the team in Seattle. I have three potential owners who could take over for the majority owner and take over Hiroshi Yamaguchi's position. First one, Paul Allen, owner of the Seahawks and owner of the Portland Trail Blazers. Guy's a Northwest guy, loves sports. Now, granted, he's only experienced one championship run or round, I should say, under the owner, that being the Seattle Seahawks going to the Super Bowl in 2005. However, even now, I don't know too much about the NBA, and I know that the Portland Trail Blazers just fired Nate McMillan. But I do know this. When Paul Allen bought the Trailblazers, they were here. And they slowly have been starting to kind of be right here. They're better off than what they were. Definitely, for starters, they got rid of the whole Portland Jailblazer nickname. And now, unfortunately, with the way the economics is in the NBA, the Portland Trailblazers are still losing money. but they're a compelling product. They're a compelling product. It's hard to get tickets down to to their games these days, particularly when you got a bunch of Seattle fans who are like, hey, I want to go see an NBA game. Let's travel down to Portland. They're a compelling product. You look at the Seattle Seahawks. Ever since Paul Allen bought that team, the expectations for the Seattle Seahawks went from here to here. Every single year, the expectation is to make the playoffs, regardless of how we get there. And that definitely went up like this exponentially when we made the Super Bowl. But basically, Paul Allen has been able to get his hands on with those two teams. And that is the reason why I think he would be a good candidate for Seattle. The only downside is I don't know if he wants to own 3 professional sports teams. Second guy, Steve Ballmer. Now, unfortunately, off the top of my head, I forgot his title. But Steve Ballmer was a guy who was one of the potential guys who was willing to step in and save the Seattle Supersonics. He got a ton of money from I'm drawing a blank here, so if you want to correct me, go ahead. But I believe it's either Microsoft or Boeing. I'm sorry, I should know this, but can't remember it right now. But anyway, I do know this. He was part of the ownership group that wanted to step up and buy the Supersonics from Clay Bennett. So he showed enough signs of wanting to get his hands dirty while working with a professional sports franchise. And if he can do that, I mean, obviously he cares so much to not only be a hero, but to get his hands dirty and to make moves and to make the organization and the product a compelling one. By all means, go ahead and buy the team. Another thing about Steve Ballmer and also about Paul Allen, both of them are local Northwest guys, and that's key, because if they do get the team's not going to be moving anytime soon. Okay, now the big one. All right, the third one. Now this is, you're probably going to hear this name and you're going to think, in your dreams. And yes, this is in my dreams. This is the guy who I'm going to say on camera right now, this is the guy who I want to buy the Mariners and be the owner of this team. And I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to get a lot of rolling eyes. I'm going to get a bunch of laughs. But this is the guy. Mark Cuban. Now wait. Hear me out now. The reason why I want Mark Cuban. Number one, he's been trying to buy a baseball team for a really long time. He tried to buy the Rangers, tried to buy the Cubs, and I think, don't quote me on this, I believe he tried to buy the Astros. I could be wrong with that, but I think he tried to buy the Astros, because I know they recently had an ownership change. I think. I'm not 100% sure, though. The guy wants to get involved with baseball. That's number one. Number two, I know that the Dallas Mavericks just won a championship. I'm not saying the Mariners are going to win a championship guarantee if Mark Cuban takes the ownership position. No, I'm not saying that. But I will say this. The attitude and the atmosphere will improve big time if he comes over and purchases the team. When he bought the Dallas Mavericks, Dallas was kind of like the way Seattle is now. You go there, and the Mariners is, I should say. You go there, and you're not a very compelling product. You don't know a lot about the players, and we've seen a lot of veterans come here, and this is where they end their careers. I guess you could say it's a dead hole. You could say that. Now, where are the Mavericks right now? They're competing for the playoffs every single year. They're making playoff runs every single year, regardless of how far they get. And most importantly, Mark Cuban is at the games. Not only is he at the games, he travels and sees his Mavericks on the road. Not only that, he's not up in a press box, drinking a couple of glasses of wine or a couple of beers. No, he's courtside. He is courtside. And the attitude of that organization has changed, again, big time. Now all of a sudden people want to come to Dallas and play basketball there. The same thing can happen to Seattle. It would be the exact same thing. Mark Cuban would shake things up. he would be like, hey, let's have a sports atmosphere, kind of like the Seahawks and Sounders, instead of a family atmosphere. I mean, heck, do you really think that they have a family atmosphere now down in Dallas? No. Mark Cuban probably wouldn't allow it. He would shake up things a bit. I know he would go to the games when the Mariners would travel down to Texas, which is quite a lot. Probably when the Houston Astros come in and are a part of the American League West, he probably would go to those games too. Guy has the time, guy has the passion. Most importantly, the guy has the money. The guy has the money, and he can do what I believe that he can do what Drew Carey does. Drew Carey is a minority owner for the Seattle Sounders FC. The guy takes private jets to fly up to Seattle to watch a game. He takes private jets, and then after he's done, he flies back down to California. He can do that. Knowing with where Mark Cuban has come from, he's used to taking products that are here and making them here. And that is the reason why I want Mark Cuban to buy the team. Again, it's a long shot. And I know Major League Baseball has a problem with Mark Cuban. Frankly, if it hadn't been for Major League Baseball, he probably would already have a team. But I'm telling you, that is the guy. That is the guy that I want to buy this team and go places. I'm not saying the Mariners are not going to go places if none of these three guys are going to buy the team. But if we're going to have a majority owner who's not going to attend the games, seriously, sell the franchise. Enough is enough. Put Seattle Mariner fans out of our misery. Sell the franchise to somebody who cares, wants to keep the team in Seattle, and wants to improve the on-the-field product. Okay? I'm not saying that Chuck Armstrong or Howard Lincoln or Jack Zarenzik don't want to improve the on-field product, but we need the owner. I'm sorry, we need a passionate owner. And the three guys that I listed, they all have the passion, they love sports, and they probably would love to get their hands dirty if given the opportunity to buy a baseball team. So, okay, that being said, let's enjoy Felix going up against Bartolo Colon tonight against Oakland. View the blog. Again, the link will be below. And we'll talk to you all next time. Thanks for watching, and go Ents.